Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Unexpected Results, the Eternal Podcast. Joining me as always is my co-host, the Mantid Man. How you doing today, Mantid Man?
Well, as anybody live or watching on YouTube and stuff in the future can see, I'm in yet another place recording. The bedroom is now a disaster from moving stuff and building things, so I'm in my living room this week. But I found out that only 2 to 3 more weeks at the absolute most before the studio is set up. Studio being the office.
Fantastic. Yeah. I mean, my living quarters is a little bit cleaner than normal, actually, but nobody would know that. I mean, there's lots of empty boxes right here behind me, so I need to throw them away because they charge us for the recycling now. It doesn't matter. We won't go into that stuff. But what's your shirt say?
My shirt is a D&D shirt. It says, "Beware the smiling DM."
Oh, no.
One of my players in my Friday night D&D game got this for me. Golly, I want to say like a couple months ago, and I've only worn it like once because then I packed it up getting ready for the move.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, I am once again wearing my Austin 316 shirt. For whatever reason, I'm in reverse, so I don't know why. In the video, I'm in reverse, but yeah, well, excellent. Did you do anything exciting this week? Any fun things? Anything?
Well, it was my 4-year-old's birthday yesterday, so he's actually 4 now. So we played with a lot of little children's toys, and I ate way too much cake. Other than that, no, just building more things and doing more stuff to get moved appropriately.
Yeah, one day you'll be settled in. Oh man, I talk about wrestling real quick. Just that one match, Aleister Black versus what's his name? Tommaso
Ciampa, the Blackheart.
That guy. Yeah. I haven't seen a lot of that guy's work or whatever. I don't know much about the character. Looks good. I understand that he's one of the best heels in a long time, especially in NXT. But Aleister Black is my favorite. He's long been a favorite of mine. He's the reason I started watching NXT at all. And that championship match they had this week on TV air quotes, it's really good, phenomenal. I am now a fan of Ciampa.
It was. So I've been a fan. You know me, and a lot of people who pay attention to the small amount of wrestling discussion we do in your stream. I'm a fan of wrestling in general, but for some reason I have a soft spot for a lot of heel characters and teams. So like Bludgeon Brothers, I like a whole bunch. My wife's an RKO fan who, he's a heel on a regular basis. Strowman is sort of a heel. I don't really know what his deal is.
He's a baby face, but he acts like a heel, but they treat him like a baby face. WWE doesn't know what they're doing. They don't understand storytelling anymore.
That's for sure. At least the main roster shows don't. But that being said, so I'm a big fan of Ciampa. Not only am I super pumped that he's NXT champion, but the way that he got the championship was just amazing. And if you or anybody else who's not, is a little bit into wrestling but doesn't know the backstory of like Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, go on YouTube and find one of the billions of like synopsis videos that are out there. They have like this 3-year-long story. Ciampa wasn't always a heel. Him and Gargano, Johnny Wrestling, were like the dominators of the tag team division in NXT for a long time. They were like, Ciampa was like a best man at Gargano's wedding and all this kind of stuff. It's good. Just go and watch like a video and watch the decline of their friendship and the evolution of that story. And on a side note, Ciampa, the actor, I guess, that plays the character Tommaso Ciampa, got fired from WWE, from NXT, and was it NXT? Anyway, he got fired from one of the cards, and he tried to take his own life and didn't. Like, I don't remember who talked him out of it, but he came back, and I mean, he's a big advocate outside of kayfabe, obviously, he's a big advocate for like suicide prevention. The dude is genuinely a good guy, which makes his bad guy character so much better to watch because he is universally hated, but he is this like heart of gold kind of guy, and it's just awesome. So shout out to NXT in general, but to Ciampa for sure. Just a great dude and a great character.
Oh, I did not know any of that. I'll definitely have to check out one of those synopsis videos you mentioned, and shout out to Big Trips. Triple H booking main roster win. That's the question. That'll be great.
That's right.
Anyways,
the last touch on wrestling. One other thing. Let's just talk. We were crapping on main roster. I will give the writers a little bit of credit because I try and find credit where credit is due. The Randy Orton turn right now where he is against the audience, I think is great.
I mean, he pushed for that. He advocated for this for a while before they were finally down to let him do that. Though, that promo that he did last week on SmackDown was phenomenal. Well, it wasn't phenomenal, but it was really good, especially compared to what we normally get these days. Though he did still have the classic heel thing that every single heel on the roster has to say. Each and every one of you. Talking about the audience. Still did that little cliche.
They have their little fall-in lines that I'm not super, I'm not a big fan of, but if that's the worst thing that comes of it, I'll take it because, he's busted his butt for a long time in the business, and getting to do something he wants to do and is passionate to do from a story perspective, I'm good with.
Yeah, I agree. I'm down with that. Well, anyways, let's get into the bulk of the show here. We're going to be talking about the results of the ETS this week. We're going to talk about the card changes, the buffs, the nerfs, whatevers that we had as a surprise out of nowhere with a 10-minute delay. It felt like it was only 10 minutes after they announced, hey, we're going to be changing these cards. The servers went down. They said it was a 1-hour warning, but it felt like 10 minutes to me. We're going to talk about that spoiled, leaked card back that turned out to be real, and now we own it. And Twitch Prime bundle. We're going to talk about all sorts of stuff. So those are the main things, though. And wrestling, but we already did that. But yeah, let's talk about the ETS. How much of the ETS did you watch this week?
So I watched your first couple of matches, and I watched kind of in between. I watched the first couple of matches that were streamed on the RNG Eternal channel, and then I went out for my son's birthday, did all that kind of stuff, got back, and I was able to watch the last two games of the champion. The last two rounds of the top 8, essentially.
Excellent. Yeah, what deck did I even play? I brought Xenon Killers, kind of Killers. It is Killers. It was the Xenon list that level 13 David top 8'd with last week. Talked to him briefly. I think it was on Friday before I locked in my deck, and he said that was what he was going to play. He was going to just run it back, same list. He showed up with Valkyries, if I recall correctly. That lion son of a gun. But, no, it's all good. I should have not played the deck that I didn't play all week. But that doesn't matter. I ended up going 4-2, which is a fine record. That's a fine record. 2 people top 8'd with that record. But I took my losses earlier the tournament, and the deck just didn't feel good not having Iron in my Xenon Killers list. Just didn't feel right.
It's almost like you said, it's almost like you didn't practice with it and tune it a touch before the tournament.
Shh. It was good last week, it'll be good this week. No,
that's right.
One copy of the Archetype did top 8. But it was like 20 cards different.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the top 8. Let's run it down. So we had first place. We had Moosh playing Alessi Combre Alessi. We had Ether Llama in second with Alessi Moment. That was a rematch, if I recall. They played round, I think, 5, and they had an insane. I watched the last bit of their game. I was spectating it, just waiting for the round to finish so I can go to my next round. And they had just some insane board states. It's like, well, Moosh is completely dead, and then the next turn, Moosh plays his next turn, and I'm like, how's Aether Llama gonna win? Like, it just was all over the place, just back and forth, back and forth. I'm assuming their top 8 match was anticlimactic, and Aether Llama just didn't draw any power, you know? But, no, but...
It was pretty anticlimactic. I mean, it was still fun to watch, but yeah, it was painful in a lot of places, too.
Yeah, and then in third place, we had Praxis Tokens from Aroma Nova. We had Dralachek with Icaria Blue. And we had Sabriel playing Xenon. Rock playing a TJP Blitz deck without Levitate, rip in peace. And Fuzzy Frog playing Removal Pile. And Grimfan playing Charge Rod. Yeah. Teams represented in this top 8, we had 2 members of Eternal Titans. In Moosh and Grimfan, we had Aether Llama representing Team Ringstar, and then Roma Nova representing the Great Parliament. I thought The Rock was a member of the Great Parliament, but I've had a falling out because his name, he doesn't have that team listed there. And then Dralachek is a part of Seek Power Gaming. So, pretty good top 8.
Yeah, it's it's got some flavor in there that we're used to. It's got again, we're getting some of these players that we don't always see in the top 8, and in players like Sabriel and Fuzzy Frog. I wish I could make fun of The Rock and say that he's not doing well, but this season, friend of the stream, The Rock has been performing. It is a matter of time before he locks in an ETS win.
Yeah, I mean, last season he did all right too. I believe he got one of the rookie invites to the Invitational, which they have since discontinued the rookie invites. But yeah, he's doing pretty well, and he's the only person that was able to take the nerfed, TJP Blitz deck to the top 8. So kudos to him. He was still even playing Accelerated Evolution, which I just now realized. What a madman! I would have played Levitite over that
for sure.
Oh, but. Yeah, we'll talk about the card changes later, but yeah, this is a pretty good top 8. What was your favorite deck from this top 8 here?
Well, I have, as I've said many times before, I have a real soft spot for Praxis. I like the way it plays. So Aroma Nova's Praxis Tokens deck, I mean, you can't go wrong with that. And I know Great Parliament, that team in general, has been tuning just a lot of the archetype decks together. So this shows that that practice and tuning and stuff pays off because they're doing really well with that. And I gotta and I gotta give Sabriel a lot of credit. I'm a big fan of Xenon. I was excited to see that you were bringing Xenon Killers. That combination of cards, just the power and some of the not memes, but the BMs that you can give when you're playing Xenon is just awesome. So those two are probably my favorite, the Praxis and the Xenon.
I am still not convinced that Aled Mount Breaker is better than World Bearer Behemoth in that archetype. And a lot of these time mid-range decks that are playing Aled over World Breaker, like, I get Aled is really good, it's a powerful card, but I don't know, the Overwhelm is really relevant. Fixing and ramping and just the synergy with World Bear and Initiation because of the Overwhelm. I don't know, man. I'm just not convinced. It didn't feel right, especially not in Xenon. It doesn't feel right to me there. I mean, I see the synergy though too, because you can buy back a dude that you gave Killer to, but I'm just not yet convinced. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just not convinced yet.
Yeah, you and I have talked about Aled a few times on the podcast. And a lot of other content from creators, myself included, with like Sifu Danny's dumpster decking, things like that. Aled is such an enigmatic card. There's your word of the day, enigmatic. Aled Mount Breaker is an awesome card in a vacuum, but like you said, depending on what decks you put it in, if it's not in the market, in the main deck, there are just other cards that fill the position better. World Bearer Behemoth is a great, is a great call out to that position. Even depending on how your curve is taken in the build of your deck, like Carnosaur fits in there really close as well, and it does
It goes
a lot
really well with the lead.
Yeah, so
This player was playing
like
Karasaur, though.
Yeah, which is awesome too. I mean, just Big Papa. I mean, I think Mountbreaker is a good card. I think it's great in the market. I have yet to see it included main deck anywhere that made me warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, it's obviously a very powerful card, synergistic with the deck. I don't know. I'm just not sure that just 4 lead, 0 World Breaker is right. Maybe a 3-2 split with 1 in the market. I'm not sure. I think we're still trying to figure out the perfect numbers. But hey, it also could be meta decisions as well.
For sure. So the theme in this top 8 to me was obviously people possibly scrambling a bit to tweak either decks that they had that were counter to like the Miracle Blitz and stuff like that, or people that wanted to play Miracle Blitz style decks and had to tweak kind of at the last second. There's a lot of fire, as there has been, because there's a lot of answers in fire and fire combinations.
Torch is an efficient card.
Yeah, it is. It's a great card. I wanted to say Torch, but I was like, there's other fire answers. Like Heart of the Vault is a real card, and it does some serious work. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it strictly is for Torch, and 95% of the cases for the fire decks that showed up.
Not that you're not going to play other fire cards, but that's generally speaking ends up being like one of the main cards that you decide, yeah, I should probably just play Torch so I can easily kill Teacher of Humility. Or whatever else,
I will say that, so Drolachek is somebody I watched inadvertently, like probably 4 matches with, just people on my friends list that I was spectating games, and they all just happened to end up playing against Drolachek. So the Ikaria Blue deck that he was playing, which by the way was named It Worked last week, it's you're essentially your state as it has at 1. But it is in such a good place on the ladder, and I know we'll talk about meta here in a little bit with the card changes and stuff, but I played Drolachek's deck late last night and early this morning during my 5 a.m. D&D game, and I think I've probably played 18 to 20 games and lost like 2 with it. It's just the way that people are playing in the decks that people are playing in like high gold, low diamond right now. Ikaria Blue is in a great place for the ladder climb.
Yeah, the other day I was thinking about it because I was running into a lot of Praxis tokens and I wanted to play a Hailstorm deck, and I didn't end up playing a Hailstorm deck. I just gritted my teeth and persevered through. But yeah, this is one of the decks that came to my mind. Hailstorm for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, hats off to Drolachek, because there is, anybody who is playing like the Blitz style deck still, anybody who is playing like tokens or anything really aggressive, Ikaria Blue is a terrible matchup. I was going to say Stomp, but there is variance and there's player skill and stuff like that. But Ikaria Blue just beats the crap out of a lot of those decks.
I agree. I was looking at the comments on the list for the Ikaria Blue deck, and Fuzzy Frog commented on it. Also, faded, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
You didn't just automatically go, yeah. So I was like, wait, am I wrong? Was it like
I wanted to let you finish your thought and find out for yourself.
Fuzzy Frog with 3 Ys? Ding. Star goes over your head. Talking about again?
We were talking about, all in all, it is it's a great top 8. I think this is probably the first week in a long time that if you had asked me to bet on like what kind of decks would be in the top 8, I actually would have done really well in making some predictions.
Dude.
It's pretty spread out, but at the same time, like there are some serious running themes. I probably could have filled out a card for deck types that would have been in top 8. Not necessarily players, but for sure, I think I would have been good on predicting deck types this week.
On Wednesday, Ilya K sent me he's like, hey, you're looking for a deck to play, right? How about this? He sent me a list, very similar to the deck that Moosh won the tournament with. It was based off of, I believe it was based off a deck that LSV played on his stream the other day. That Andrew Beckstrom, also an Eternal dev, him lurking in the channel every now and again, here on my channel. That dude had made with this whole shell, this Combray shell with safe return. Now the list that Ilya sent me had like Iron Fist Chancellor and some other weapons, Copper Hull Bracers, stuff like that. But Moosh here. So what I'm saying is, on Wednesday, as of Wednesday, like I was set that I was gonna play this deck, and then I had some bad luck on ladder with it the next day and forgot about it. I was like, nah, let's just not play this. It was just good on the ladder meta yesterday. Let's not play that. And then lo and behold, Moosh comes with an even more tuned version with 32 power, literal power, not 32 power including the Seek powers and stuff. It was literal 32 power. Which tells me that he really thought about the deck for a while, really, really, really was tuning the deck, because you rarely see players playing 32 power in a deck. They don't usually go above 26, 7, maybe 8. Like, this is the first time I've seen a deck that wasn't trying to, cheat out a Stonescar Excavator or something like that, have 32 power. Very fair deck,
Yeah, that is something... And I'm not besmirching any of the other people in top 8. They're either really great deck builders or they're really great players, like pilots. But that is something you see from like the top of the top when it comes to deck building. When you see these like quirks in a deck that it's not just like a one-hit wonder, something goofy combo. Like these quirk in a deck, you can tell when someone has sat down either by themselves or with team members or friends of theirs and like thought stuff out and done analysis and played a bunch of games, and they have like a checklist where they're doing things. And Moosh is one of those deck builders and players that puts in, just an incredible amount of work and comes out with some seriously good material, some seriously good product, if you will. Even when he doesn't top 8, it is. There's a variable in play that just wasn't accounted for, but it's not anything to do with the deck, because I continually grab his decks from the deck list and play them. He's one of the builders that I follow that's not on our team, and they're always really good, like well thought out decks.
Yeah, they definitely are. And one thing that the live chat here pointed out is that he's playing 8 of the standards. He's playing 4 Crown Watch standard and 4 Temple standard. And, man, I played against him. Surprise, I lost, like I do every time I play against Moosh, except for that one time. And, like, playing around all the 4 safe returns and the 4 Temple tactics, like, I was like, I'll kill your guy. No, you won't. I will pick it up. That Sword of Unity on it? I will pick that back up. Like, I just 2-for-1 myself to kill this thing, and now you're picking both the weapon and the unit back up? Alright. Why am I playing still? Concede.
Press the button.
Yeah. Alt F4. If you press Alt F4 right now, you will get the Twitch Prime bundle for free. Promise.
Even if you're not listening live.
There's a cross.
But yes. Of course. So overall, a great week. This is week 4. Yeah, week 4 of season 3 for the Eternal Tournament series.
That is the one. That's what it's called. Little known fact. But yep, great top 8, great showing. My buddy Grizzly, guess he's a member of Team Rank, so now he got 10th place on Breakers in the tournament as well, going 4-2. Took his losses early, just like me. It was pretty good. Good. So just shout out to my friend Grizzly.
There you go. Grizzly, nice job. Try not to be as terrible next time, and maybe you make top 8.
Ooh. Burn? Cool. Well, let's talk about these card changes that happened this week. Out of nowhere, I was just midstream, levitating my guy to Berserk It. I wasn't playing that deck. And somebody said, hey, Accelerated Evolution and Levitate are getting nerfed. They're patching the game in an hour. I'm like, what? And I started my stream like 20 minutes before that, and that had not been posted yet. I'm like, you're lying to me. And they linked it. I'm like, oh, how about that? Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is one of my own, again, I feel like the last couple of weeks I've had more bad stuff to say than normal, but I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing per se, but it's one of my complaints personally. It's something we've talked about on the stream before. Regardless of what the changes are, however large or small, I feel like having a little bit additional heads up is good. Like, I understand that you don't need it because it's not a physical card game, not errata-ing cards or anything like that. They're gonna, but yeah, this like hour notice is not fantastic, or 10 minutes, I guess, in your case, because that's how long maybe it took you to notice. And you don't have to tell us that like what the changes are that are coming, but just let us know, like, hey, this week there will be card changes, and give people something to speculate about. But I'm not a big fan of getting blindsided, and I feel a little blindsided when that happens.
I feel like it was a very odd time of the day to change the stuff, like it was right in the middle of the day. It was like 4 or 5 o'clock Pacific time. Like, I have to imagine that's like one of their peak player times, right? They'll just get home from work.
Yep. Yeah, I was just leaving the office when it got announced because I had your stream up, and you're like, what the heck? And I'm like, I wish I could stay around and listen, but I gotta go.
Yeah, no, that was the thing that upset me, that it was right in the middle of the day. I don't know. I'd started my stream late that day, and if I'd known that the servers were going down in an hour, I would have just waited till after that and then stream. Like, it kind of ruins the stream because the servers are going down for an hour. I primarily play Eternal. My viewers want to watch me play Eternal. We played through an entire game called The Beginner's Guide instead during the downtime and a little bit longer to finish the game, but it wasn't what I had planned for the day. Not what I was trying to do with my time. So before we even actually talk about the changes, I'm just venting about that part. Right in the middle of the day, no notice, couldn't plan around it, just started the stream. Be sad, Manted Man. That's what I'm trying to say.
I get it. Well, I agree with everything you're saying, and that is probably another reason that additional warning would be good, like a day in advance. Is this day and age is it? A lot of the game is based not a lot of the game. A lot of the community is built around streamers and like what they do and things like that, and having peak time. Again, a lot of people play this game mobile. Every time I rant about iPad or talk great about the mobile client, I get messages and things like that. We're like, hey, I play, almost exclusively mobile as well. I'm super glad this happened. Blah, 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 things like that. And, that's a lot of downloads. I get home and I have to spend an extra 10 or 15 minutes before I can log on, and, I have to download. And if for some reason an app store doesn't push the update, I'm in trouble. Like, there's a lot of problems that go along with it. So
yeah, the mobile version of the game is so big. Every time you update it, feels like you're reinstalling the entire game. Maybe you are, I don't know. But I stopped keeping it on my phone because phones just don't have very much space unless you buy the fancy deluxe turbo edition of the new phone. So it's just too much space on my phone. So I don't even play mobile anymore. I used to, but I'm also not traveling much anymore. So I'm just here at my computer, so I don't need to. I get to have the deluxe full screen, but
the deluxe. Well, let's talk about the smaller changes before we get into the two, the two real big ones. I guess the knee-jerk changes. So we'll talk about the smaller ones first. So Sheriff's Hat used to be a +3/+3 fancy hat. Now it's a +3/+1 paper hat. What do you think about that change?
I believe I believe it was Flash wrote an article about that card, about that change specifically, entitled it, "Is Direwolf Trolling Us?" or something like that. seems like an unnecessary nerf. I know it was more of a, this is a draft-oriented change, and I haven't had enough experience. I haven't drafted the set enough to feel like that was a needed change. But to me, it looks like it's just an unnecessary nerf.
Yeah, it's so I've done a fair amount of draft in this set. I'm really happy with the place that draft is in right now. It's better than it has been in a very long time. But yeah, the Sheriff's Hat, even to me, and I haven't read Flash's article. I'll check it out after we finish doing this this live podcast because I appreciate Flash's insight. But yeah, I use Sheriff's Hat a lot. I really like drafting not only Justice, but like Justice weapons in draft. I don't know. I feel like it makes me. I feel like I have a better time doing it. Plus, I like big numbers. Like, can't go wrong with a big old dude. So I don't know why it was changed. Hat was never something that I was like, ooh, I have to get the hat. But maybe coupled with its other abilities, they saw something on that side that I didn't, and that other people didn't. I got nothing on it. It doesn't really affect me, but it is what it is, I guess.
In the notes here, they mention Justice has been a little bit stronger than they'd like. Classic. That's what they say every time that they nerf all these Justice cards for draft. But it seems crazy to me that the one card that they haven't changed, that they didn't change or don't even mention, is Master at Arms, because that's the only card I hear people talk about. It seems for drafting. They're just talking about how that card is too good to be a common, or too good at common, or just in general 3-drop +2/+2 to a dude on a dude. Like.
Yeah, I grab him every time he shows up because of my playstyle.
Yeah, it's very strong. Just that mechanic in general. There's a couple of other units that do that, which they're not as good, I feel like, most of the time. But even the ones, there's that bird or whatever that gets +1/+2. Even that card, even that small buff, just the +2 toughness. So it's so innocuous. Even that card feels really good when my opponent plays it against me. Like, this sucks for me.
Yeah. Well, speaking of birds and things like that, Herald of the Parliament is now a 1/1 that gets +2/+2, where it used to be a 2/2 that got +1/+1.
1/1 body just isn't very big, but I mean, you're getting a bigger reward for playing multiple spells now. By default, when you play one spell, it's the same size that it would have been already, so that's fair. It doesn't block very well now.
Yeah, it doesn't block nearly as well, but I guess they wanted to make the reward feel more substantial for like your opponent not having stuff on the field. I don't know. I honestly didn't know this card existed until the patch notes came out, because I've never seen it. Like I've either ignored it when it's come to me in packs, or I've never seen it played either. So this one affects me zero because I have never interacted with this card, but the art is really cool. So I'll give it that little silver lining touch.
Yeah. We had Brand Without Fear is now a 6-cost unit instead of a 7, and Brand Without Fear, of course, is the unit that is created by Jawbone Greatsword. I'm okay with this buff. The Jawbone's not seeing a lot of play. I mean, I really like the card, but it's not seeing a lot of play, and I don't know if I think I've only gotten like 1 or 2 Brands ever.
Yeah, that's somewhere I was going to go as well. I think, while I don't necessarily think the nerf or the buff was needed, I think it will have an impact on this card, because there are some decks, even ones that have been strong in the meta. We talked about Paradox's Stone Scar the first tournament week, and it played Jawbone Greatsword. It's the reason I made my copies of Jawbone Greatsword. And I've had a couple other brands, and I have found myself multiple times before this change saying, I I feel like I've had other cards in my hand, or I feel like there's a better use to these, of this power and stuff like that. So having the reduction, even if it's just 1 point, it can change the course of a game. So I think we'll see more Jawbones in decks, and I will be interested to see if it has an impact, because Brand Without Fear, the card that the Jawbone Greatsword creates, being an 8/6 with Berserk, and the ability to sacrifice and give Overwhelm, like, that's a big dude at 7. It's a ridiculous guy at 6.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the card is more playable now, just by it's been buffed. By default, it's more playable. I hope to see that card find a home, like a real home. Like, if you're gonna play this archetype, you basically have to go craft this card. I would like to see that happen. Who knows if it will.
Absolutely. Well, and the cool thing about Jawbone Greatsword is the spot that it's in. A lot of people, when they're playing against a fire deck, if it's not an Ikaria style deck or like a removal deck. Ikaria!
Rizan reminds me of Rocky. Adrian.
Oh yeah, for sure. But if you're playing, like, if your opponent's playing a fire deck and then like you see a Shadow Power come out, a lot of your removal gets sacrificed. Like, people use their markets and they'll drop their removal and stuff like that, because they see those color combinations in a lot of cases, and they're not as worried about a big dude coming down. They're like, oh, I'll be able to take care of stuff by using Torch. I'll be able to take care of stuff, with small blockers or things like that. They don't consider the fact that an 8/6 can hit the field. So I feel like
I better get rid of my Vanquish. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah, so this card is significant in some of those decks as being kind of a sleeper, especially if it can generate Brand. So I'm happy about this change.
So am I.
What's the next one, man?
Yeah, Aegon's Choice. It is now a fast spell. It was a slow spell. I still don't think this card will see much play. I did play against somebody the day that as soon as the patch went up, I played against somebody who was trying to play it, but still didn't really feel like it did anything. Killing an attachment that's on an enemy, that's just like, I feel like that's good enough.
Yeah, killing an attachment on an enemy or create and draw a +4/+4. I could see using it at like the end of a turn to make a +4/+4, but
that's what happened.
Yeah, at that point, like, there's just other cards that are probably better in that slot. If
this card should have been a fast spell to begin with, so I mean, this is a good change. Like, yeah, I guess like what Rakano Plate would maybe want to play this, but
yeah, the Rakano Plate or some of like some of the Valkyrie with pants decks, things like that. There's some decks that could play this now, and it would fit in decently. I mean, +4/+4 on a body, especially if it's something like Silverwing Familiar or some of those other kind of heavy hitter cards is a cool thing. I don't know. I wanted this card to be good just because I like Aegon a lot, and the card that it's named after is not really seeing too much play either.
It was really fun in that
so weak.
In that Singleton format we had a couple months ago. Aegon was phenomenal in that format. Got to actually play with the card. It was great. It's cool. Liked it.
Yeah. Now this card does become more relevant if the game shifts a bit to give weapon like enhancement style decks more of an edge. Like right now, it's dangerous to play enhancements outside of the few that have like significant impact on the field. You have stuff like the Scepter, which makes another guy. You have things like the Deep Forge Plate, which is just extreme significance. But other than that, there's not a lot of attachments that you put on units that are really that impactful, especially in these colors. Like, I guess Primal has some that are good. Like Changey Stick it's a decent card. I mean, it's really good at draft.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
If there's more pants, this card becomes relevant. But right now, the change is good, but it's not going to impact anything.
Yeah, I mean, if Iron Fist Chancellor becomes the meta, well, I mean, you're still just better off killing him. So, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I guess. I don't really see this card seeing a lot of play. But hey, it's a buff. It's welcomed. I mean, I feel like with this card not being a fast spell, it's unplayable. Period. Now it's marginally playable. If the meta calls for it, now you can play it. Because if you're gonna play this card, you either A, put it in your market, which I feel like there's better, attachment destruction that you can put in your market than this, or B, you put a bunch of them in your main. I don't know how many you'd want, all 4 or just 2 or what, but you put it in your main deck, and then if it's not relevant for the matchup that you're playing against, but you're seeing whatever the deck that you want this card against a lot on ladder, now you're not playing against it this match, well, hey, just make an armor and put it on your bird.
Yep. All right. Let's talk about the last one, Assassin's Creed. Sorry, Shadow Stalker. The change that was made on this was that it used to be 4 cost with double shadow requirement. Now it's 3 cost with double shadow requirement. Again, a card that I haven't seen.
I had to look that one up.
Yeah, haven't seen of a lot of anywhere, and the art on it's really goofy. They should have buffed the art.
They did the Talir art, which I did not notice until earlier this week, and my brain melted when I noticed that they updated the Talir art. They fixed her face. Her eyes don't look so weird.
They're going through and doing like minor changes to a fair amount of art from what I have heard, which is needed because there are some of the older cards or just some other cards in general have just little small quirks that could be pretty easily touched up. Not to diminish the artist's work, but something got lost in translation in a couple of places.
Yeah, I mean, some of that, no offense to whoever made the original arts of any of these cards, but hey, sometimes it's nice to get a little update.
Fresh coat of paint. So Shadow Stalker is now a 3/3/3 that is unblockable at night, and he has Tribute, get Nightfall. Again, the Nightfall mechanic is a great mechanic. It has its place in certain decks, but I feel like you would need a deck that perpetuates night for this card to actually be relevant, and even then there's probably better cards that you can put in place. All of that being said, in draft, this is probably relevant, and I'll keep my eyes out for it. They said they wanted to give a boost to Nightfall decks. I don't think Nightfall decks really exist, and they want to open up chances for fringe decks. I would say Nightfall is a fringe style deck. At me, prove me wrong. But, I'd love a Nightfall deck. I just don't think there is one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to play Feln, it'd be like a Feln aggro, mid-rangey deck, and need the Nightfall portion of that, excuse me. That said, I really like Feln aggro.
I was gonna say I think I saw you play one earlier this week. A couple of different Feln decks actually, just like experimenting around. And Feln I'm in a weird place with Feln because sometimes I love it. I played your Feisty Feln deck that you had modified from somebody else.
Yeah, way back with the 4 Levitates. Yeah. Did you ever play my Moment of Creation deck with 4 Levitates?
I did, yes. When you broke the meta, when Levitate originally should have been nerfed.
Yeah. Did I play 4 Levitate in my Haru control deck too?
I don't remember if you did or not in that one. But that's a decent transition. Shadow Stalker, maybe relevant, maybe not. Would love to see it. Let's talk about the knee jerks, the big ones, the ones that people complained about. Other people said thank the stars. Just roll out for us what those changes were, man.
First, I did not play Levitate in that Haru control deck. Let's look. So the changes that they made, the big ones, these were the ones that were aimed at competitive play and all that jazz, was Accelerated Evolution, now costs 3 time Primal instead of 2 time Primal, and Levitate, now 2 Primal, was 1 Primal. Went from 2 cost to 3 cost, 1 cost to 2 cost. Wrap your mind around all those words I threw together at once. I don't know why. Why did Levitate have to die for these people's sins? I hate it. I hate it. That card should be 1 cost. Like, the best way to use Levitate, like, I think for the first time, the meta these last couple of weeks, Levitate was being used for its probably actual intended and purpose of jumping your own unit above people and hitting your opponent. I have almost exclusively put the card in my decks to pop Aegis off of units. Like, Crownwatch Paladin, Beastie Boy, etc., etc. You know all the cards with Aegis, Icaria. It was the best card at doing that. Vara's Favor is the only other card that is like a good Aegis popper, but you're probably going to end up playing your Vara's Favor before that point in the game a lot of times, but I don't know, man. Well, that was also awkward for Vara's Favor because that would also be a card that could kill the Crownwatch Paladin, but instead you're using it to pop the Aegis. I do not like the Levitate change, Levitate nerf. I do like the Accelerated Evolution nerf. I have felt that card's a little too strong for a while, even though it hasn't seen a lot of play until recently.
Yeah, for sure. I think I'm okay with the Accelerated Evolution change. I understand some of the logic behind the Levitate change. I mean, like 1 cost to draw with the only requirement of there being an ally or a unit on the field is probably a little strong. And given flying as well. I saw somebody ask the question, would you have been okay if it was 1 cost, give a unit flying, scout? And my answer to that would have been, if I had to choose between those 2 nerfs, I probably would have taken that question. I probably would have taken 1 cost, give flying, scout. But I mean, I don't get to make those choices, and there's probably a balance thing in there that I don't know about that it would jack it up. But I mean,
it'd be worse. I don't know. I feel like I don't think that was ever going to be a consideration for the dev team. I think it was literally it being a 1 cost spell that gave flying. I don't know. I feel like these decks would still play the card if it was just a 1 cost gain flying, without the draw, without a scout, without any other text, just 1 cost fly.
Yeah, probably. I mean, my option still stands if that is the case. I understand what you're saying, but I'm trying to check. Yeah, like Changey Stick is a 2 cost fly. Are there any? There's no other real there's no other super cheap fly spells that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I mean it was really Evolution, Levitate. I guess Changey Stick, yeah. I guess. Yeah, they wouldn't play it if it was just flying. It'd be worse than Jump Kick after all. Whoops. But yeah, you know what? I mean, those decks didn't just replace their Levitates with Jump Kicks, so there goes my theory. Gone. Or now we're gonna see all these decks with Jump Kick instead of Levitate from 2 weeks ago, just remade. Yeah. Words.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, Jump Kick is a solid, replacement. It doesn't draw you a card, but it's more pump for those, for the cards that want that pump, especially things like Coastal Battle Mage and the Apprentice and stuff like that.
And also for a newer player who decided to pick up the Archetype, Jump Kick would probably actually help them make less mistakes because they wouldn't be tempted to, cycle the Levitate just to draw a card on a random turn just to see what they can draw. We'll only use it on the turn where, well, yeah, I need to fly right now. Yeah, I needed my guy to get bigger. But so with all of this stuff, this was largely done in part to hurt the TJP Gift of Battle deck, or in just Gift of Battle decks in general with the Levitate part. But a lot of people were coming into my streaming complaining that they didn't touch Gift of Battle. Gift of Battle is the card that should have got nerfed. And
No.
I mean, I think if they change Gift of Battle to being a 2-cost spell, I still think they'd play the card. You change Levitate to 2 cost, they're not playing the card anymore. They're not playing Levitate anymore. But Gift of Battle, they usually only need 1 Gift of Battle, and they kill you, so put it in the market, or he's probably still playing main, but Gift of Battle at 2 cost, that would still get played. The deck would still get played. And if you move it up to 3, well now, you might as well just play Sack the City. You're starting to get a little too far away from a playable, cheap card, you know?
Sure, and I get that. I would say if I had to pick the change that is more palatable between Levitate and Gift of Battle getting changed, I'm happier that they chose Levitate. I'm sure that was a discussion that they had, only because Levitate is for a specific series of decks, while Gift of Battle is a little more universal. So I think changing Gift of Battle would have more of a negative impact. So
I completely disagree.
Hey, and that's why we're having a discussion here. I would love to know why you disagree, though.
Well, no, I just think what you just said, the exact opposite is true. That Levitate is more universal than Gift of Battle.
I think there's enough stuff in the position of Levitate for popping things like Aegis and what have you that has other effects that it's not getting. That's the reason it was more universals, because it had more of a universal application. But in the use of what it's supposed to be used, or what it is designed to be used for, I think it's more niche than Gift of Battle is.
I think only one kind of deck wants Gift of Battle, and it's a deck where you're pumping up your playing pump spells and killing your opponent fast, hard, quickly. Like,
fair. Now, I don't know if they make these kind of, do they make these kind of decisions? I'm not a dev, and if somebody knows, how card game development and balancing works, especially in digital format, please let me know. Do you do balancing like this, especially on common and uncommon cards, based solely around competitive play or ladder play, or do you also take draft into consideration? Because Gift of Battle and draft for me is significantly more impactful than Levitate ever was.
Well, absolutely, that is definitively true. I think when it comes to whether when they're balancing cards, if they're gonna make a tweak, if they're gonna change it, buff it, nerf it, whatever. Pop it. Feel like competitive play is what they're focused on the most when it comes to do we need to change this card in some way? If so, how do we change it and not make it too good for draft? I don't think they would care if it's going to be a completely terrible, unplayable draft card now. But if the change would also make it too strong in draft, I think they would care about that. Otherwise, I feel like, yeah, just, I said some words.
Yeah. Well, hey, and I know we don't like to reference the chat too much, but at least one person understands where I was going with that. I'm not even going to name names, but shout out to the one person who's like, hey, I think I understand what he's trying to say. I might not have put the words together appropriately, but Gift of Battle is indeed a card that you can play around, whereas Levitate is a lot more difficult. Yeah, you're making that face for the people who aren't watching live and are just listening. Platypus King has this trademark face scrunch that he does. He doesn't like the things that I say. You know what else? I think that Baron Corbin is a great performer. I know. So outside of let's find some common ground. Did we at least agree that Evolution's change was not only acceptable, but probably warranted?
Yeah, I think that was a very good change. I don't even have much to say about the accelerated evolution change. I just think that was the right thing for them to do. It's probably been a long time coming. And I don't know. I'm okay with that change completely. Completely. It's still borderline playable, just not as... it was just like... Man, turn 3, play your merchant, get an evolution, and then playing both copies of it on the next turn. I hated that. I felt like that was too strong. Be able to give not only free your unit from a permafrost, but to give it flying. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that this change happened because I just think playing both halves of Accelerate Revolution on turn 4 was too good.
Yeah, it's a strong card. I think it's still a really good card in the position that it's in. Both of the effects that you could choose from, and having the choice on any card is, I know, a difficult thing to balance around. So, my hat's off to the dev team. That is my standard, a little bit of brown nose that I'll do. Overall, I would say the changes for me were either non-impactful or acceptable and warranted. I think regardless of how anybody feels in a Levitate, I think changes like this are healthy for the game. It shows that they're paying attention. Maybe they saw something we didn't. I will say, regardless of how my feelings are on the Levitate change, I don't feel like we got enough of enough of the logic behind it. They tried to logic it, but it seems vague to me. I'm just going to read it out really quick. I know some people didn't even read it. It's like 3 sentences. Levitate has always been an extremely efficient spell with low opportunity cost. I can agree with all that. Thanks to it replacing itself, and it has been watched closely for a very long time. While the card has arguably been too strong for a long time, it was never really particularly heavily played until recently, where it has been one of the biggest offenders of a reduction of diversity of types of spells used to fuel spell matter cards. Our intention is not to eliminate these strategy abilities to take to the skies. We just want to make sure that there is sufficient opportunity cost for it to be a meaningful investment. Now, what I take away from that is not a good thing, but maybe it means that they're going to do this better in the future about this scenario. Their first couple of sentences there say that Levitate's actually been really strong for a long time, but because nobody noticed it, we didn't bother to mess with it. What that should read is an article with a date of 6 months ago that says Levitate is too strong, and before it becomes abused, we're going to go ahead and change it. We messed up on balancing. Here you go. If that is the true logic behind it. I am not a fan of the logic here that we've known it was strong for a long time, but nobody was smart enough to use it properly, so we didn't change it.
But I agree with what they said and how they worded it, because, and you can see that is a true statement, because if you've ever seen Patrick Chapin or LSV play a Haru control deck or something for months, even before set 3 came out even, you would always see Jotun Hurler and Levitate in their decks. And it was actually seen one of Chapin's lists or playing against Chapin on the ladder and him doing that. And I'm like, this guy knows what's up. That's I hadn't thought about this yet. That's very smart. And
I agree with all of that. There's no doubt in my mind that it has been that strong. That's the problem I've got though, is if they knew it was that strong and that they were going to have to watch it and balance it, why didn't they just do it beforehand?
Well, if people aren't playing the card, why change it? I just think, well, you're stupid for changing this card.
Does that mean Hurler's going to get changed? Because I've seen it a lot more in decks recently.
I don't think so. But, I don't know. I don't like that they this Levitate change. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you got to get over it, because I don't think it's going to get reversed.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was a way, it would just be more complicated and more wordy, but a way of it costs more. You have to pay an extra 1 or an extra 2 power or something if you're targeting your own unit, but it still costs 1 when you target somebody else's unit, so that it could have that dual functionality of still being able to pop Aegis on your opponent's stuff, but not be very playable for you to jump your units. I think that would have been a neat way to answer the problem. But maybe that's too wordy. I don't know.
I don't know that that's too wordy, only because in my notes for future shows, when we don't have as much content to talk about, I have in my notes.
You have notes?
Yeah, I keep little note ideas.
Are you trying to tell me that you really care about this podcast?
Not only do I care about this podcast, but I care about the King's Legion and the millions of fans.
Yep. Well, it's in your show
but
notes.
no, one of the things in my notes for a future topic is there a way to make cards that are cheaper if they're used against your opponent versus is there a way to make cards cheaper if they're used against your opponent rather than if they're used on your own units? For instance, there's a bunch of cards, Levitate being one of them, and also the card that turns a unit into a 3/3 with Overwhelm. Like that card has application for turning a 1-drop on your side into a good or a better card, or taking one of your opponent's like monstrosities and making it like a little bitty dinosaur.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I guess the logical way would be, you get to make Levitate cost 2, and now we're also going to add the text, costs 1 less if you're targeting an opponent's unit. Something.
Yeah, something. So you're happy, you're good with all the changes except for the Levitate change. You're going to suck it up on the Levitate change, and I'm pretty ambivalent.
Yeah.
I'm good with everything.
I'm tempted to still try the card in decks where I wanted to play Levitate. I for that purpose of popping Aegis, I'm tempted to still try it. I don't know, you probably would still just rather like have Trailblaze or something in like Moment of Creation, but I don't know. The biggest thing was like turn 1, play it, pop the Aegis of Crownwatch Paladin. That was usually the driving factor, being able to play on turn 1 to pop the 2-drops Aegis, like when you're on the play and they're on the draw, or vice versa, or whatever, when they're on the play. That's not a thing anymore. Never will be again.
Never will be again. When another set or a campaign comes out, maybe we'll get a 1-drop pop.
No, they'll just reprint Levitate at 1 cost with a different name later. Like, you know what? This card's actually fine. Reprint it. Different name. No.
All right. So we covered all that. Let's talk a bit about, and it's a small topic on the surface, but it has some larger implications. And that is the first ever premium card back that can be purchased, and that is the 6-shooter.
Yeah. It exists.
It does exist, and it is very cool. It has kind of a 3D effect that's deeper than the card itself should be if it was just a piece of paper. I like the fact that anytime I see a little glowy dot on my side of the screen, I get to shoot at something on my, like, I get to make the bullet sound and the ricochet and stuff. Plus, spinning that little buzzer is my sons both love clicking it because of the sound that it makes, that little zzz, zzz, zzz. So I think it's fantastic, but it costs the equivalent of $9.
$10.
Yeah, or 10, I guess. Yeah, in some cases. 1,000. I think it translates to, depending on how you buy it, the cheapest it costs is like $9.40 or something like that. If you buy like crystal in a bulk pack or whatever.
Yeah, it costing $10 I think is too much. I think that's too high of a price. I bought it anyway because I'm a streamer. I need to have the pretty things. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a cool card back. I want them to make more of these cosmetics that cost money so that they can keep the doors open and keep giving me content for free. But I think it's overpriced. I really do. I think it's overpriced. It has been fun to click on it a little bit though.
Yeah, it's fun. It looks cool. I want, as they release more stuff like this, I need to be able to attach avatars, totems, and card backs to specific decks, because now, especially when I get my Ashara, when I get my Ashara, I'll have like a beautiful, very colorful Gunslingers deck. I mean, you can do it.
What is going on? My internet is dropping hard.
Oh no.
It's back. It just keeps happening, and then you turn into a robot and get stuttery. I don't know what's going on. It's good right now. It's happening.
So I I don't necessarily think the nine between $9 and $10 is too bad. 12 in Canada and like $1 billion in Russia. I don't think that's too terrible. You have a little bit of a problem with it. So let's start with the easy question. How much, if you were not a streamer, how much would you be willing to pay for an exclusive aesthetic like that?
$5.
$5.
I think $5. I think $5 is like a real sweet spot of. I almost spend $5 on the glass of beer that I like to buy at the bar. I think that's a reasonable price to throw your money away for. If I had a lighter, I would pretend to light money on fire right now, but
So yeah, you're right. It is all you're doing. So as good as anybody is in this game, unless they win real cash, all of their rewards mean absolutely nothing, because they're just pixels and dust. So, but let's talk about something a little deeper. So the precedent that this sets. So your excuse, I'm a streamer, I had to buy the card back because I got to have the pretty things. My excuse, I think it's cool, and my son liked it. That just helps me justify it. Everybody else who has it has made some excuse, whether it is, $10 is what I pay for the premium imported beer that I get at the bar, or I just won't get, McDonald's on my way home one day from work. Like, whatever way you justified it and you bought it, does it set a precedent for what they can do for aesthetics in the future? Does this mean that maybe a card back comes out and it costs $15 and they see how many people buy it? It's a slippery slope that might get explored, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, here's what I feel like just happened when they put out this card back, because I think I've only played against one other player since the card back came out that had that card back. I have not seen it other than this one time, if I recall correctly. Feel like it has undersold compared to what they were hoping for or expecting. I think what is more likely is that they will do another card back at some point for half price or for $7.50 or whatever, right in the middle, and compare. I mean, some people might just maybe they're also thinking, well, I guess people don't think that this is as cool as we thought it would be, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's more likely that they'll do like a $5 one.
So here's a follow-up question, because It's something I saw a lot of people. One of the things that a lot of people brought up was, oh, you don't want to pay $10 for this, but you paid $40 or $60 or whatever dollars for like the founders packs. Like, how much? And that devolves into, well, I did it so I could have premium power and an avatar that nobody else has. How much is like a premium power pack worth, where all of your power is now shiny?
Well, I mean, those packs also came with a cool avatar, and you got gems with it, the equivalent of that. You got more than, when you paid $50 for the Ikaria avatar and the premium sigils, you also got $60 worth of gems. So it's like you bought gems, they gave you more gems, and gave you a bunch of free stuff. I mean,
sure,
that's the way to justify that. That was the way to justify that, is it came with gems, too.
Yeah, you don't have to justify that. Sorry, the question I was asking, a bunch of people are saying, if you're going to release anything, Direwolf, if you're going to release anything and you want us to spend money, release the premium power in a pack and let us buy that. How much should that be?
It should never come back. It was called the Founders Pack. I bought it because I'm a founder. If they bring it back, now some Joe Blow that just picked up the game after Set 6 came out, now he's a founder too. No. I disagree.
It
should never come back.
Let me reframe the question. Let me try one more time. See if I can get through to you.
That'll be first. First.
You are an investor in Eternal, in Direwolf Digital. You're on the board, and you have investment in this game. The game gets released, and 25 million people download the game, and of that 25 million people, 10 million of them are actively spending real money on the game. At that point, they say, Eric, look, we know you're a 25% investor in this game. You get to make the final decision. For every dollar that this makes, you'll get 25 cents. And there's 10 million people spending real money. they're demanding that we re-release the premium power. How much do you release the premium power for?
I say I have too much integrity for this question, and it will never be re-released. No, okay. I don't know. I don't know. Premium power, premium sigils. That's just a lot cooler than a card back or a new playmat or whatever. I don't know what the proper price would be for that. I think if they do it, it should also be alternative art. I think if they bring it back, it should be alternative art sigils. I think that would be what they should do. I don't know, $15. I don't know. I feel like it should at least be $25 again. I feel like it should be the same price as the Jack Founders Pack, and should also come with a Avatar again. I don't think they should ever release it as just the sigils.
I was thinking. See, I don't think if they're going to do it with another avatar, they have to make a new avatar. And that avatar has to be available to people who already have the power. But I think the value of the premium sigils would have to be like $15 or $20 if they're going to do it. I agree with you. Ultimately, I would like them to keep it a Founders thing only, especially when the game blows up. And we'll talk about that here in a minute as well. But especially when the game blows up, I want to, flip out a shiny fire, shiny primal, shiny shadow, and then have somebody message me, be like, bro, where'd you get those? Be like, I've been playing since the old days, son.
Here's what they should do. When they officially release the game, they should redo, they should make alt art sigils. From that point forward, that is the sigil. And only old accounts have the old sigils, and only the people that were there have the old premium sigils that, for the Founders Pack. They bought the Founders Pack, they get them. Just when they officially release the game, just change the art of sigils, but us old timers get to keep the old sigils as well. Get to choose.
That would be cool. And I would even be okay with them doing, and we're deviating really far, so this would be the last thing I say as you drag me deeper into the honeypot. But if when they release the game, if they had new art for all the sigils, I would even be okay with them having like the equivalent of a legendary be getting the old art on your sigils. Like that could be cool. Or maybe they release alt art cards that are the equivalent of like a shiny, a premium or a legendary or whatever. But who knows?
I don't know. Just upgrade all of my legendaries on my account into premiums.
I will start upgrading cards with Shiftstone to premium when I have every card. I can't bring myself to do it.
Yeah, I don't like deleting legendaries that I don't have 4 copies of. Even if I'm like positive this card will never be competitively viable unless they buff it. Maybe there's a meme deck that I'll eventually want to play, and this card will be a great role player. Like Darkclaw Ravager. I keep opening. I've opened 3 of those. I've had one for a long time, but I've opened 2 of those this week. And I need Shiftstone right now to craft, Kina or whatever. But I want to play with Darkclaw Ravager sometime. Maybe they'll eventually make dinosaurs that matter.
I was gonna say, there's cards that that I have dusted in the past, and I'll never dust legendaries again, like you said. That I don't already have 4 of or premiums of to replace. But I remember 2 weeks before there was a deck that was relevant for a little while that was playing that red dragon that when it attacked anything without flying got exhausted. And 2 weeks prior to that, I had disenchanted all of my copies of that so I could make some other obscure card that was very popular. And I'll never destroy legendaries again because I felt so bad because I wanted to play that deck and didn't have the Shiftstone for it.
That's what you get when you. No, we're not going there.
Yeah, this is not
karaoke.
This is not a karaoke podcast. Be a part of one of those.
Hot and dangerous. If you're one of us, then roll with us, because we make the hipsters fall in love. We got a hot pants on and up. Yes, of course we does. We run in this town just like a club, and no, you don't. Okay, come back. Come back.
All right. So, is it setting a
EJ,
dangerous
turn it up.
precedent? Stop. Dangerous precedent? Probably not. As long as nobody is ridiculously greedy. Is it cool that we're getting some other aesthetics outside of the totems and avatars? Yes, definitely.
You playmat win.
Oh, that would be sick. I don't know how you would do that outside of having a random rotation, unless you could get. I would be cool with like a full side of your field having playmat effects. Like you could get like snow, so everything on your half of the playmat's like all icy and stuff. That would be cool.
Maybe. Change the whole board state for you if you have the new playmat. I think that would be
so
logical.
You see it like that, but you want to show it off to your opponent as well. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I haven't thought about that part. I feel like
That's
they'll
why
eventually
I buy
change
stuff
something.
half the time. I'm sure they will. They'll probably put other, even if it's just for like limited time stuff. All right. So the last major thing that I want to talk about is actually huge news. So it comes on the heels of Twitch drops, which is a big thing. We talked about it. It'll spur other people to watch Twitch players that play Eternal, like the Platypus King, to watch some of the tournaments, things like that. It also encourages some idling, but I don't think any streamer ever cares about idling accounts. But the big announcement that they had was this Twitch Prime bundle, which is incredible.
It continues the pattern of them being very generous.
Well, not only does it continue the pattern of them being very generous, but one of the big, essentially one of the big gatekeeper problems for the game coming out was all these people are going to come in and they're going to like, there's going to be this elite core of 20,000 players that have huge collections, and it's going to take us forever to get to the top of the ladder or to be able to compete in a competitive manner unless we spend a ludicrous amount of money. So some people are saying, well, maybe they'll just reset everything. And that would be abysmal because there's real money involved. Yeah, don't reset stuff. The other thing was, well, they'll have to figure out like a promotion to get new players in. Well, they've done it because arguably the strongest set is the core set 1, the Empty Throne. If you have Twitch Prime, you get 32 packs of the Empty Throne and a single pack of the Fall of Argenport, which is guaranteed to have a legendary in it. There's some other stuff that we get. What is that, Platypus King?
Helpful Doorbot card back. It's so cute. It's adorable.
He is fantastic.
We get and we get the Ashara premium avatar, which has really cool like assassin blades on the edges of it, on the bottom part.
Yep, and some gems and some really cool.
Oh, we get gems too.
No, some gems on the avatar. Sorry, we don't get gems with it. If we got gems with it, it would be incredible. I mean, it's already great, but that would be even more bonkers. Yeah,
and it's be exciting. I mean, I actually I had to order some stuff on Amazon earlier today before the stream started, and I signed up for another 1 week Twitch Prime trial. I paid $2 for a Twitch Prime trial for 1 week. Gotta make sure I remember to delete that before it goes live, before I actually get charged for a year, and go bankrupt. But yeah, I'll be able to get the stuff without using my friend's account.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I have a family that is quite large, not in the sense of there's a lot of people, but quite large as in I'm gigantic and my kids are gigantic and eat a lot and break things. So we have Amazon Prime, so we have Twitch Prime, and I'm pumped that I get a little bit of a reward for doing that the biggest thing that I'm happy about, like you get something cool and I'm happy for you. I get something cool and I'm happy for me, and I'm happy for all of the King's Legion and the unexpected results, the Eternal Podcast fans to be able to get stuff if they have Prime. But the biggest thing is I have so many friends that see these Prime rewards that come out on Twitch, and they download these games to try stuff out that are free, and they read articles and they watch streams. The coupling of getting a crap load of free stuff and having the ability to get rewards to get more free stuff, I think next week we're going to see a huge influx of players, and then it'll be compounded upon again when they announce the release of the game, essentially right after the Twitch Prime rewards probably end, and then there'll be like a release bundle that you can get that gives you a bunch of stuff and all kinds. Like they are doing their marketing research, because this, I've heard a bunch of people talking about it that I never expected to see talk about it, and the subreddit has jumped significantly in traffic since this information has gotten filtered around, and it hasn't even showed up on like the Twitch app yet.
I believe that this is the beginning of an official advertising campaign for the game, leading up to and going even further and growing exponentially after the official release of the game. So when I saw this, I'm like, oh right. Like, some people are still saying, man, they've already botched the game. They've given up on the game. I'm like, you're ridiculous. What are you talking about? But this just puts all that to bed. This is the beginning of the big push. It has to be the beginning of the big push. It is a big push in and of itself. I don't know what they'll do from here, but hopefully they're gonna just be at more and more conventions. Hopefully next year at E3 they have a spot at the table. You know.
Well,
this is great.
We can talk about the conventions as well. That's essentially one of the things that's tagged onto this news is if you are going to PAX or Gen Con, they are going to be giving away collector's bounty promotions, not only on Twitch and on social media and in-game events, but they're giving away in person at Gen Con and PAX West. Which is awesome.
They're giving away. What are they giving away? This promo package? This bundle?
They're calling it the Eternal Collector's Bounty. So if you don't have Twitch, that's what this is. It's called the Eternal Collector's Bounty. So if you don't have Twitch Prime, they're going to be giving it away on social media. Like, they'll have drawings, or the first 100 likes or whatever on Twitter maybe, or something like that. But social media, they'll be giving this away. In-game events, they're going to be giving this away to people. And then if you go to Gen Con or PAX, they're going to give away codes that unlock the Doorbot, the Premium Avatar, and a whole bunch of packs.
They're going to be giving away Prime memberships. That's what they're doing. They're giving away Prime memberships at all those events on Twitch, on social media, in-game events, etc., and in person at Gen Con, so that you can get this Twitch bundle that they are putting out.
Well, look at that. So not only do you get this stuff, but you could get free Prime, either demo Prime, or maybe they're giving away year-long Prime. Who knows? They could be giving away some awesome stuff. So that's even bigger news. I thought they were just giving away the bundles.
I have to imagine it's like
giving away Prime. That's awesome.
Yeah, I have to imagine they're giving away like 30-day trials. But if they're actually giving away like year-long subscriptions or something, I want one. Saying.
Well, then let's hope. They have a lot of they obviously are working hard with the Twitch team. They got the Waystone app. We have this Twitch Prime bundle thing coming out. So and Twitch has a relationship with Amazon, so maybe they are going to be able to give away like full year-long memberships.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot wait till August 2nd, Thursday, August 2nd, for when this goes live. It'll be counting down the days, and then I'm going to cancel my Prime.
Yeah, if you want a reminder, by the way, on to cancel your Prime, you have this cool thing called a smartphone, I think, and you could probably set a calendar notification like right now to cancel it on Thursday.
I want the stream to remind me.
You put a lot of faith in a bunch of strangers, my friend.
Well, hey, so many strangers that were told, please remind me this. I want to see who's actually going to remind me. I want to, at the end of the day on Thursday, I want to be annoyed that people keep telling me to cancel my Prime. That's what I want.
There you go. Well, holy moly, it has been 95 minutes essentially since we started, so.
Or less.
We made really good time. We got through a lot of stuff. We talked about the ETS results, obviously. We talked about how that kind of could affect the meta. We talked about the card changes that came into play. Some of the smaller ones, some of the much larger ones. The premium 6-shooter card back and what that could mean to premium aesthetics in the future. And we speculated a little bit on if they would or wouldn't do things. And we talked about the Twitch Prime bundle, which comes out on August 2nd, and expect to see a bunch of new players when that does hit. I think we have one more thing to do, which people are trying to squeak in at the last second on the live stuff. But it's over! It's over!
So I just drew the winners for the July giveaway that I do on my stream. Which, by the way, we're gonna take August off. I want to alleviate some of the burden of my sponsors that are generously. I'm not actually giving away money. I'm not giving away any money. I will if I need to, but I have some generous sponsors that shall remain nameless that give away that donate for some of these gift cards that we give away every month, and I'm gonna give them a break, give their wallets a break next month, and I'm not gonna burden my own wallet. Let's be realistic here. So we're just gonna take next month off, and then we'll be back in September with another giveaway. But I think this giveaway was rigged because somebody subscribed to my channel just yesterday or the day before, and I had never seen them before in my channel, and they're mostly a lurker. They're not very active in the chat. I'm going to tell you right now, that person won. I'm not going to tell you who they are yet, but that person won. I think they rigged my system somehow. I don't know what they did, but hey, let that be a reminder when we do the next giveaway. That could be you. Sign up for the giveaway. Anyways, who cares? Would you like to know the winners? Anton, man?
I would like to know the winners, and I just want to reiterate that we're not taking anything away from you clowns. The Platypus King is doing some work on stuff for the podcast and his own stream. We have some big changes coming for Team Rankstar, so there's going to be some bigger and better things in the future. We just need some time to coordinate ourselves, to put it a little more diplomatically than, I don't want these guys to have to spend money. We love you. We want to give back to you. We're just trying to find a better way to do it. That there's some more ways that are better for everybody. So we're just going to take a little time and figure out and finalize what that actually is. But yes, let's hear the winners.
The first winner, MG Sorrow. The second winner, The Rock. The Rock. The third winner, I don't know how you did it, is Petchy94. Son of a gun.
He called it in the chat right before you said his name.
I know he did. I know they did.
That is incredible.
Yeah, I looked in the viewer list to see if this person was watching, and they were, and it was them. So, yep. So MG Sorrow, The Rock, and Petchy94. All of you, add me right now. Add me as soon as you hear this. Add me on Steam. My username is the Platypus King. If you can't spell that, I can't help you. And once you do, we have to wait a little bit, but I'll send you your gift cards as soon as I can later this week. So send me a friend request on Steam ASAP. ASAP.
I gotta say that we talked after the last giveaway. Yeah. We talked about giving like a bonus prize if they were in the live event for the podcast. I'm super glad we didn't decide to do that because all three of them are here right now in the live broadcast.
Yes. That's pretty neat. And I'm happy that two of the three of these people, no, I'm happy all of these people won, but Sorrow and Rock specifically, they're watching my stream day in, day out, so it feels really especially good that they won for me just because they've been longtime supporters of the stream. They're always there. So that's just really cool. And hey, this Petchy fellow, well, hey, they're new to the stream, but getting rewarded anyway, so that's sweet.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like to see I like to see the involvement. Your stream is, I mean, the reason that I came over to your stream before I was involved with the team, before I was doing anything collaborative.
You were
with
just
you.
some guy, and I was just some guy.
That's right. I'm just a small town boy. Back in those days, the reason I stuck around was because of the community. So I'm happy, as always, obviously, to be able to give back and that we're able to do something. Oh my God, it's a platypus. I'm happy that we're able to give back. I like to see winners, whether they're new or old, great or terrible. I'm not going to name names on who falls into those categories, but it's fantastic.
That's you, Grime Time Television and Overmaster. You're terrible people. Never watch the stream again. I'm just kidding. I love you both.
He just loves your money. That's all there is to it.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, the Overmaster's never given me a penny. What are you talking about? You know what? I changed my mind. Overmaster, get out of here. Anyways, we're going off here.
That's right. I mean, we're essentially wrapped up.
We're just rambling now.
Yeah, obviously, as always, reach out to myself at MantedMan on Twitter. You can't find me on Facebook because I don't exist. I don't have a Snapchat. I don't believe in Instagram. So it's Twitter or Discord is the only place you can find me. Find the Platypus King at Platypus Island, right over there. I don't know if he has a Facebook. He's pretty active on Discord, just like I am, but he has a YouTube channel as well.
Yes. You can catch this podcast at eternalpodcast.com, live on Twitch every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/theplatypusking. And support me on Patreon, patreon.com/theplatypusking. It doesn't say it on the website just yet, but anybody who becomes a patron on my Patreon, you know how we have the whole soundboard thing? Well, you can have a sound on the soundboard that only you can use. You can use it to, for example, announce that you're here at the stream. Maybe whatever you want it to be. We can figure that out together. But if you sign up to Patreon, that is the one thing that all patrons will receive is a custom, exclusive, count-bound sound for the soundboard that only they can use.
Oh, that is sick. I have one little point of self-promotion, if you don't mind me hijacking for a second.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
Here we go. All right, first of all, teamrankstar.com is where you can find a whole bunch of stuff, including the podcast. You can find Platypus's videos when he does his video series are linked there, as well as his YouTube and Twitter and all the other places. But .com and going to the foreseeable future.
Hold on. The internet kind of got choppy. Repeat from the YouTube part forward.
Oh, fair. Okay. So you can find all of Platypus's videos on teamrankstar.com, which are also on his YouTube. But starting next week and going weekly into the foreseeable future, I am starting a new series called Trail Stories, and it will be each week I'll be interviewing different people from the community. I have already completed the first one. I'll have it pushed early next week, and just to give you a little hint, little flavor. It is with one of the most infamous personalities in the Eternal community, and there's some very interesting insights. So keep an eye out for Trail Stories on teamrankstar.com and also on my Twitter. I will link it the moment that it goes live to publish.
Not going to say, I guess, on the broadcast here, but I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I think anybody who's paid attention to the way I said things will be able to figure it out. And even if they can't figure it out, they only have to wait a day or two, and they'll be able to grab it up.
Fair enough. Well, all right, that concludes this week's podcast. So thank you all for hanging out, watching, listening, live, repeat, whatever. Doesn't matter. Appreciate y'all very, very much. Thank you. Catch us next week. I'm live on Twitch every day. I've been the Platypus King. You have been
the Manted Man.
All right. Au revoir.
And don't die.
That's my line. And finished.